The Grand Marshal raised his glass of synthetic amber and smiled for the audience. Humanity calls this doctrine, he said, the word dripping from his tongue like oil. A creed of rust and sentiment. Observe their latest miracle, a single battleship. The Dominion broadcast chamber glittered with mirrored alloys, 10 species gathered beneath a vaulted ceiling of plasma glass. Every officer wore ceremonial armor polished to a mirror sheen. Behind them, holograms displayed a rotating image of the HSS Resolute Vow, a dull gray vessel of outdated lines, plated hull, and rail-based weaponry. Primitive, the Marshal continued. Steel plating, chemical propellants, no phased shielding. They build museums and call them fleets. Polite laughter rippled through the room. On the central dais, Dominion analysts overlaid comparative specs. 12,000 active Dominion ships versus 1 human relic. The numbers glowed bright gold. The Terrans still believe in mass and motion, said an admiral from the Zir Collective, his translucent mandibles flexing in amusement. The Marshal smirked. Mass is for planets. Motion is for prey. Behind them, the Dominion's flagship hung in orbit over a burning colony world, an unspoken reminder of the cost of defiance. Grand Marshal Veth asked one junior officer carefully. Reports say the humans refused inspection on arrival. Veth's smile widened. Of course they did. Pride is the shield of the obsolete. Retention spike. They called it pride. It was preparation. The laughter resumed. Reporters scribbled, drones hovered. In the corner feed, one alien commentator declared, their doctrine is fossilized honor, glorious, irrelevant, doomed. Veth gestured toward the rotating projection. Their commander, Rhea Kor. She quotes treaties as if words can stop plasma. I will carve her signature into our victory speech. Another officer joined in. They deploy kinetic slugs. Actual projectiles. Veth nodded. Yes, rocks wrapped in arrogance. More laughter, applause. It echoed through the chamber, mechanical and endless. Begin tactical demonstration, Veth ordered. The lights dimmed. The holographic wall flickered to a tactical overlay. 12,000 Dominion warships forming a golden lattice around the system's primary star. At the center, a single gray dot marked Resolute Vow. Every sensor in the quadrant will record this, Veth said. One engagement. One lesson. The Dominion commands war. Humanity obeys extinction. He raised his hand. Transmit our salute to their fleet. Make it public. A comms officer obeyed, voice trembling. Transmission sent. We welcome your bravery. History will archive it. Perfect, Veth said. And open all broadcast lines. Let the galaxy see humility restored. He turned back to the gathered officers. Observe. Our energy lances will strike at 0.3 light seconds, synchronized to microsecond precision. Their armor will fail instantly. Grand Marshal, a younger tactician interrupted. Their hull composition reads unusually dense. Composite layers unknown in our database. Veth waved it off. Cosmetic. Humans love symbolism in metallurgy. They name their weapons like poets and die like insects. The holographic simulation began. Dominion ships firing in waves, bright arcs of gold converging on the gray dot. The dot vanished in light. The audience applauded again. Forward the projection to every news relay, Veth ordered. Remind our worlds that rebellion ends as art. Retention microspike. They mistook silence for surrender. It was calibration. As the session closed, a drone camera focused on Veth for the official statement. The Dominion salutes our Terran cousins, he said, tone smooth and triumphant. May they rest knowing their courage will inspire future compliance. Off-screen, aides compiled the final broadcast edit. Music swelled behind his words. The Dominion seal flared across 1,000 star systems. Message complete. None noticed the faint red mark blinking on one console. An automated ping from the Resolute Vow. Packet received. Encrypted, unreadable. The transmission's subject line was 3 words long. Observation begins now. Veth didn't look at it. He was already rehearsing his victory speech. The void tore open with surgical precision. No sound, no flare. Just a distortion of stars as the HSS Resolute Vow slipped from warp. Its hull glided into real space like a blade returning to its sheath. Matte gray against the gold lattice of 12,000 Dominion warships waiting in symmetrical formation. On board, Commander Rhea Kor stood at the viewport, hands clasped behind her back. All systems nominal? she asked. Lieutenant Mara Vance nodded. Warp stress with intolerance. Reactor output steady at 73%. External field integrity, flawless. Maintain blackout posture, Core said. We are here to be seen, not to speak. Outside, the Dominion fleet adjusted. Battleships shifted with synchronized arrogance, engines forming a wall of light. The vow was a relic among them. A single scarred monolith surrounded by perfection. A comm signal pinged. Human vessel, this is Dominion Grand Marshal Veth. You are entering controlled space. Submit to inspection or face containment. Vance glanced at Core. Transmit response? Yes, she said. Standard refusal. Her voice moved through the open channel, calm and flat. Negative, Dominion Command. Terran fleet operates under Clause 12. Non-interference during observation. The reply came sharp, almost gleeful. Clause 12 is obsolete. Then history is about to correct itself. A pause. Then laughter. 12,000 ships worth translated and amplified across the comms. Retention spike. They mistook courtesy for compliance. Core raised a hand. Mute external channels. We work in silence. The bridge fell quiet. Only reactor hum and sensor chime filled the air. Every officer moved with machine precision. Checking, confirming, waiting. Range to nearest vessel. 5,000 kilometers, Vance reported. They're tightening formation. Hold our vector, Core replied. No drift allowed. The vow's thrusters pulsed once, correcting a fractional wobble invisible to the eye. In the external cameras, Dominion ships began spreading drone nets, inspection pods glinting like metallic pollen in the dark. They're attempting breach approach, Vance said. Lock hatches. Let them find refusal in physics. Drone after drone struck the human hull, unable to magnetize. Their systems failed against layered armor fields. The outer plates registered no adhesion, no data link. The Dominion officers watched in confusion as their sensors returned nothing but echoing static. Commander, said the communications chief. Public channels broadcasting our telemetry. Dominion analysts mocking our signal delay. Good, Core said. They should believe we're slow. The bridge lights dimmed to combat readiness. No alarm sounded. Only measured tone, retention microspike. Stillness is a weapon when used by those who understand waiting. Through the viewport, the Dominion fleet gleamed like an artificial sunrise. 12,000 warships surrounded one target, their collective heat signatures blanketing the sector. Scan their broadcast array, Core said. The first lance struck without warning. One perfect line of gold slicing through the dark. It hit the HSS Resolute Vow amidships and vanished, swallowed whole by armor that did not shatter, did not even smoke. No explosion. No fire, only silence. On the Dominion flagship, Grand Marshal Veth stared at the readings. Reconfirm impact. Confirmed, his aide stammered. Direct hit, yield 8.2 terajoules. No secondary bloom detected. Veth's expression tightened. Their shields are down. How? On board the Vow, Commander Rhea Core's voice cut through the calm. Report, Lieutenant Mara Vance read from her console. Impact registered. Outer mesh absorbed 92%. Remaining 8% redirected through plasma veins to thermal sinks. No hull compromise. Core nodded once. Maintain posture. They'll need to believe the first strike was luck. A second beam came. Then 10 more. The Vow took them all. Each impact flashing across her hull like sunlight striking water. Plates glowed, cooled, and settled. Power feedback registered as surplus. Reactors rising to 81%, Vance said. Energy harvest functioning perfectly. Feed it to the rails, Core ordered. They're giving us charge for free. Retention spike. They fired to destroy us. We answered with efficiency. Across the Dominion formation, disbelief thickened. Channels flooded with chatter. Confirm human armor composition. Recalibrate targeting arrays. They're cheating physics. Veth slammed a fist into his console. Increase yield by 100%. Marshal at that intensity. Fire again. The Dominion unleashed a barrage. 60 beams converged into one radiant spear, striking the Vow square across her dorsal line. The light blazed for 6 full seconds, turning space into a miniature sun. Then the glow faded and the human ship remained. Scarred, intact, beautiful in its refusal to die. Inside, nothing trembled. Surface loss negligible, Vance said. Hull temperature peaked at 1520 Kelvin, cooling with intolerance. Convert excess thermal energy, Core replied. I want the reactor at stable surplus before they finish recalibrating. Power levels climbed. The ship hummed, quiet, measured, alive. On the Dominion flagship, panic edged into the chatter. Their hull feeds on the attack. Veth's aide whispered, It's not armor. It's consumption. Retention microspike. 92% absorbed. 8% redirected. Zero panic. Broadcast drones captured every second. Billions across the Dominion core watched as the supposed relic of Earth ignored the Empire's brightest weapons. Commentators scrambled to explain it, theories piling over fear. Exotic plating. Unknown physics, divine protection. Core said nothing. She turned to her crew. Record their telemetry. Save their data for the tribunal. Yes, Commander. The next barrage came slower, hesitating. Precision broke under disbelief. Dominion ships that once fired as one now staggered their strikes, adjusting angles, second-guessing algorithms. The fleet that prided itself on elegance had begun to tremble. Commander, said Vance, their energy frequencies shifting, compensating for reflection. Let them, Core said. Every new variable increases our yield. The ship glowed again as another beam hit, energy coursing through plasma channels toward the reactors. Numbers rose on the screens. 87%, 91%, 93%. Reactor at full charge, Vance confirmed. Rails hot, capacitors stable. Do not return fire, Core said. We're not ready to teach yet. Outside, the resolute Vow drifted forward through the golden haze, its armor shedding the last remnants of light. Burned plating flaked away like ash, revealing fresh alloy beneath. From the Dominion perspective, it looked supernatural. A ship reborn after every hit. Veth leaned closer to the display, voice trembling with something halfway between rage and awe. What kind of monsters build that? The human transmission arrived seconds later. 3 words in perfect Dominion dialect. Observation continues. Proceed. Veth froze. The laughter across the fleet died. The void between stars had never felt more silent. The hum in the resolute Vow's spine changed pitch. It was no longer the still rhythm of patience, it was hunger sharpening its edge. Commander, said Lieutenant Vance, reactors stable. Energy surplus sustained at 106%. Rhea Core stood at the viewport, the Dominion fleet's light reflecting in her eyes. Then we move. The order spread through the decks like gravity. Hydraulic braces locked. Thruster conduits glowed white-hot, venting the fire they'd swallowed from enemy beams. Mach 24 target velocity, Core said. Trajectory. Through their center. Outside, the Dominion fleet looked unshakable, a wall of gold geometry. They believed formation meant control. Humanity intended to teach otherwise. The first ignition was subtle, a vibration running along the armor seams. Then came the roar, though space held no sound. Plasma exhaust burst from the dreadnought's aft vents, tearing a bright scar through the dark. Acceleration Mark 1, Vance called out. Mach 8 and climbing. Compensate inertial dampers by 3%, Core said. The ship must feel it, retention spike. The wolf does not circle. It charges. In the Dominion command cradle, Grand Marshal Veth rose from his chair. What are they doing? No ship moves that mass at those speeds. They're not retreating, whispered his aide. They're coming straight through. The Dominion fleet adjusted too late. Their algorithms predicted human hesitation, not audacity. At Mach 12, the Vow broke through the outer formation. At Mach 16, shock waves of displaced plasma rippled outward, collapsing escort grids and frying sensor nets. At Mach 20, ships began colliding, scattering like insects under floodlight. Confirm structural load, Core said. Nominal, Vance replied. Stress readings minimal. We're slicing their lines clean. The dreadnought rolled, thrusters vectoring in microbursts so precise that debris slid past its hull like rain on glass. It wasn't evasion, it was geometry. Retention microspike. Discipline is motion perfected into inevitability. From the Dominion flagship's viewport, the scene defied reason. The human vessel was not maneuvering, it was cutting, carving open order itself. Re-establish formation, Veth shouted. Concentrate fire. Box it in. But his captains hesitated. Too many ships too close, their own formation shattered by wake turbulence. On the Vow, Core watched the data scroll. 64 vessels lost to collision. None by our hand. She turned slightly. Mark the deaths as Dominion error, not engagement. Yes, Commander. The dreadnought's hull temperature peaked, cooling systems venting arcs of vapor that trailed behind like comet tails. The spectacle was accidental, a streak of white fire knifing through golden ruin. Velocity mark, Vance said.
Mach 24 achieved.
Vector stable. Structural integrity at 98%. Core nodded. Good, begin braking sequence. Time to lessen. Thrusters pulsed in reverse, slowing the behemoth into perfect stillness amid the wreckage. Around them, Dominion ships drifted off course, their precision dissolved into chaos. On the open frequency, a voice broke through, raw, frightened. Human vessel, respond. Identify your maneuver classification. Core replied evenly. Doctrine of response, phase 2. Motion supremacy. The line went dead. Inside the command cradle of the Dominion flagship, Veth whispered, one ship shattered 12,000 into panic. His aide corrected him quietly. Not panic, sir, reflection. Core stepped closer to the viewport. The light from the twin suns caught the human crest engraved on the armor's inner frame, a wolf poised mid-stride. The reflection glimmered faintly against her eyes. Hold position, she said. Let them decide whether they still command war. Outside, the Dominion formation drifted apart in silent disarray, their lines no longer golden, their symmetry undone by one disciplined predator that had finally decided to move. The order came without flourish. Begin. The resolute vow shifted from stillness to calculation. Rail batteries along her dorsal spine glowed a cold white. Inside, every console flickered from standby to execution mode. The ship's heartbeat stabilized at one pulse every second, measured, relentless. Target lock established, Lieutenant Vance said. 9,000 priority vessels. Engagement window 360 seconds. Commander Rhea Core's voice was calm. Execute the silence. The first salvo left the rails like thought-given form. 12 tungsten slugs hurled into the dark at 24 times the speed of sound. No flare, no recoil, only absence. 3 seconds later, Dominion command channels erupted in screams. 9 ships vanished simultaneously, erased to vapor by invisible force. Telemetry scrolled. Soiro 15, 211 confirmed kills. 042, 980 confirmed kills. 106, 1734 confirmed kills. Retention spike. Numbers do not boast. They count the cost. Each round carried data tags and kinetic tracers, recording angles and yield. The Dominion's golden lattice shattered in concentric rings. Ships collided, their formation models dissolving into meaningless vectors. Mach 24 round stable, Vance reported. Rail integrity nominal. Continue sequence, Core replied. Every impact logged. The vow rolled slightly, its thrusters making micro-adjustments as targeting matrices recalculated. Railguns rotated in unison, repositioning for fresh trajectories. Another volley released, each slug carving an invisible corridor through the void. On the Dominion flagship, Grand Marshal Veth gripped his console, pale under the glow. They're not firing randomly, he whispered. They're pruning us. Sir, 97% of our outer wings are gone. Then fire back. We can't. There's no target long enough to lock, only aftermath. Inside the vow, the bridge remained silent. No shouting. No triumph. Only the rhythm of efficiency. 2203. 3,000 ships destroyed. 0259 5102 confirmed. Retention microspike. They called it chaos. It was choreography. At minute 4, Dominion communication collapsed. Chain of command disintegrated. Captains began transmitting surrender codes on open channels. The human ship ignored them. Doctrine required completion of the window before negotiation. Outside, what had been a galaxy's worth of arrogance now burned in silence. Hulls ruptured, reactors cooling, golden light fading into the void. Status? Core asked. Rails at 87% cycle. Capacitors stable. Continue firing pattern. A junior officer hesitated. Commander, we're erasing them. Correction, Core said quietly. We're demonstrating. The 5th minute began. The vow fired continuously. Each burst an equation resolved. Ships vaporized mid-orbit. Others split apart under kinetic pressure waves. The Dominion's visual feeds caught only streaks of light, brief and absolute. 503, 7428 destroyed. 5:47, 8901 destroyed. At 6 minutes, the display froze. 062, 9000 confirmed. The rails ceased their glow. Cooling vents opened, exhaling soft mist into the cabin. For the first time since engagement, there was sound again. Metal contracting, engines breathing, systems recalibrating for peace. Kor clasped her hands behind her back. Cease fire. Record final telemetry. Recording complete, Vance replied. Efficiency rate 99.7%. Transmit to all channels. No editing, no commentary. On every surviving Dominion vessel, the same feed appeared. A silent film of their destruction. 360 seconds of precision, unbroken, unembellished. Retention spike. 9,000 gone. One ship remained still. Veth's final transmission came through moments later. His voice cracked. Human vessel. What do you want? Kor looked to her crew. Do not respond. Commander? We do not want. We remind. The resolute Vow drifted forward through the glowing debris, its armor lit by the faint fires of dying reactors. Drones launched from her hangars, scanning survivors for retrieval. Confirm countdown end, Kor said. Timer zeroed. Engagement window closed. Then initiate mercy phase. She turned from the viewport as the bridge lights shifted from combat red to neutral white. Outside, the battlefield stilled again, no movement, no sound. Just a gray warship surrounded by the ghosts of empire. The Dominion had claimed to command war. For 6 minutes, humanity had defined it. Smoke still drifted across the void, drifting light years in miniature. The HSS Resolute Vow held her place among wreckage and silence. Unmoving, unchallenged, unreadable. Commander Rhea Kor stood at the forward viewport, eyes fixed on the last glowing fragments of the Dominion fleet. Cease all remaining batteries, she said. No further fire without order. The words carried through the decks like gravity resetting the world. Every gun fell quiet. Rails cooled. The hum of reactors softened to a low, steady heartbeat. Status of enemy survivors? She asked. Lieutenant Vance scanned her feed. Approximately 3,000 vessels disabled. Life signs across 423 hulls. No organized command signals. Transmit our declaration. A quiet nod. The comms officer opened every channel. Military, civilian, encrypted, open. Kor's voice filled the galaxy. This is Commander Rhea Kor of the Terran Defense Initiative. Hostilities have ceased. The Dominion fleet is disarmed. You are not conquered. You are summoned. Retention spike. Power without mercy is tyranny. We are not tyrants, she continued. All surviving Dominion officers are ordered to surrender under Article 12 of the Galactic Accords. War crime tribunals will commence within 36 hours. Any interference will be recorded as obstruction of justice. The message repeated across 1,000 channels. Each word cold as steel. Inside the Dominion flagship's shattered bridge, Grand Marshal Veth sat slumped against his console. His aides watched the broadcast in silence. Tribunals, he whispered. They mean to judge us. One of his lieutenants spoke softly. Sir, they have earned that right. On the Vow, Vance looked up. Marshal's ship requesting parley. He wishes to surrender command in person. Accept, Kor said. Unarmed shuttle only. Medical escort waiting. The Dominion shuttle approached under escort drones, its hull charred, engines flickering. It docked without tension. Kor met Veth in the airlock. The Grand Marshal bowed his head, every trace of arrogance burned away. He spoke quietly, voice hoarse. I expected extinction. Kor studied him a moment. Extinction wastes time. Law educates faster. Retention microspike. They feared annihilation. They received accountability. She led him through the silent corridors. Human and alien wounded alike passed them, treated side by side. The Dominion Marshal paused at the sight of a Varan officer being tended by a Terran medic. You heal those you fought? Kor's expression didn't change. Pain doesn't need translation. They entered the observation chamber overlooking the debris field. Dominion wrecks drifted like grave markers, glowing faintly against the dark. Veth broke the silence. You could rule the galaxy now. Rule? Kor said softly. No, we prefer precedent, he turned to her. Then what will you do with us? Make you remember, she replied. Every name, every civilian, every unarmed ship you targeted before today. Then rebuild what you broke with your hands, not ours. Veth lowered his eyes. You will be hated for this. Good, Kor said. Hate ensures attention. In the comm bay, the tribunal summons pulsed across the stars. Civilian worlds tuned in, some out of fear, others in awe. The footage of the Vow's 6-minute engagement replayed on every Dominion channel. Each strike accompanied by a timestamp and the words, "Evidence filed." Kor returned to her bridge. The Dominion Marshal confined to guest quarters. Begin the documentation upload, she ordered. Running full synchronization, Vance said. Trial preparations complete. Witness logs open source, she nodded once. Then our doctrine stands. Power serves principle. Outside, drones lit the wreck field with blue signal flares, beacons marking the end of battle, the beginning of judgment. Retention close. Mercy does not erase the war. It defines what comes after. The resolute Vow drifted through the light of her own restraint. Engines idle, weapons locked, justice already unfolding. The void shimmered. Faint at first, ripples along the edges of perception. Commander Rhea Kor watched the readings climb. Confirm fluctuation, she said. Lieutenant Vance's fingers danced across the console. Localized gravimetric distortions. 61 sources triangulated within the outer gas veil. Right on schedule, Kor murmured. Outside, the wreckage of 9,000 Dominion ships floated in mute surrender. Beyond them, a vast curtain of ionized mist drifted at the system's edge. Pale blue, harmless, beautiful. The perfect hiding place, the mist began to tear. One by one, shapes emerged from it, silent, colossal, deliberate. Hulls of black alloy refracted starlight in glints of silver and orange. Each bore the Terran insignia, a stylized wolf circling a star. Retention spike. 61 ghosts built for the day arrogance returned. Bridge feeds flickered as the custodian fleet established network handshake. New designations filled the tactical display. Vigilant Dawn, Iron Psalm, Ash Meridian, Pillar of Remembrance. Vance exhaled softly. We kept them hidden this whole time. Kor nodded. The Dominion needed a lesson, but the galaxy needed a warning. On the surviving Dominion flagship, Grand Marshal Veth stared at the expanding silhouettes. Impossible, he whispered. We scanned every sector. His aide whispered. They used the gas veil as thermal camouflage. No emissions. No drives active. Veth's eyes trembled. Then this wasn't defense. It was orchestration. Inside the Vow's bridge, Kor folded her arms. Open channel to all custodian ships. A crisp chorus answered, 61 voices unified. Fleet command standing by. Transmit operational summary, Kor said. Phase 3 complete. Hold position. No engagement. The custodian fleet responded in perfect synchronization. Thrusters pulsing once in salute, then falling still. The sight stretched across the stars like a second dawn. 61 human dreadnoughts forming a quiet constellation of readiness. Retention microspike. Preparation is mercy disguised as paranoia. Commander, Vance said, Dominion networks are broadcasting this live. They're calling it the Hidden Armada. Let them, Kor replied. The name will save them later. She turned toward her officers. Every one of those ships has been dormant for 12 years. Each carried full combat readiness, humanitarian cargo, and reconstruction templates. We weren't building a fleet. We were building a memory of restraint. Vance's expression hardened with pride. And if the Dominion had stayed silent, they would never have seen them, Kor said. Peace works best when unseen. On the Dominion command channel, a dozen civilian worlds transmitted surrender pledges, each one voluntary. Veth's transmission followed moments later, subdued and hoarse. To the Terran commander, I understand now. You prepared for this war long before we declared it, Kor answered with a quiet nod. We prepare for every war, so we never start one. The custodian ships held formation, unmoving beacons amid drifting debris. Dominion survivors sent encrypted hails requesting permission to evacuate. Granted, Kor said. Every escape corridor cleared by our escorts. Even theirs? Vance asked. Especially theirs, she replied. Doctrine demands example. Retention spike. Mercy shown under dominance becomes law faster than fear. Sensors map the battlefield into calm geometry. Once chaotic readings stabilized. Power emissions faded to baseline. In the distance, the ion mist folded back into stillness, its role complete. Kor's gaze lingered on the tactical screen. 61 icons marking the quiet strength humanity had never revealed. Transmit fleet data to the Tribunal Archive, she said. Let history know this was not chance. Vance nodded. Message sent. Outside, the Resolute Vow and her sisters aligned along a single axis, their running lights blinking in slow unison. To the galaxy, it looked like an eclipse drawing a line through judgment and renewal. The Dominion had believed humanity alone. They now saw the truth. Humanity was never singular. It was synchronized. Kor clasped her hands behind her back. Stand down, readiness alert, she said softly. Let them see calm as our final weapon. The custodian fleet obeyed. 61 Titans powered down in the same heartbeat, vanishing back into the mist that birthed them. What remained was silence, and the memory of preparation mistaken for peace. The stars over Virel Gate still burned with the ghosts of war. Ion storms rippled through the wreck field, turning debris into drifting constellations. Beneath that fractured light, the custodian fleet split formation, half remaining in silent orbit, half diving toward the Dominion's broken colonies. Commander Rhea Kor stood over the tactical hollow. Confirm civilian extraction routes. Lieutenant Vance's voice was steady. 19 million civilians spread across 4 primary sectors. Evac convoys launching from fleet tenders Aegis Dawn through Seraph 3. Estimated window 6 hours. Escort pattern? Secondary fleets already engaged. Contact expected within 3 minutes. Then we hold, Kor said. Outside, human warships moved like clockwork. Dropships and carrier barges descended through the storm, their hulls streaked with plasma wake. Behind them, destroyers pivoted into defensive arcs, forming corridors of protection while Dominion remnant forces, desperate and leaderless, fired wildly into the chaos. Retention spike. Compassion under fire, doctrine made visible. Enemy resurgence confirmed, Vance said. Scattered resistance from 37 surviving vessels. Targeting indiscriminate, some hitting their own escape pods. Kor's jaw tightened. No retaliation. Return only suppression fire. Keep extraction priority. Rail slugs left the Resolute Vow in controlled rhythm. 1 every 10 seconds, each strike designed to disarm, not destroy. Precision neutralization, a dance between mercy and mastery. Civilian cluster Sigma cleared, a comm officer reported. 2.4 million aboard safe carriers. Continue sequence, Kor said. The bridge lighting dimmed as plasma clouds surged around the ship. For a moment, space itself looked alive, ribbons of electric green threading through the black. The custodian escorts flared gold in contrast, their hulls reflecting the storm's fury. Commander, Vance said, ion interference spiking across all comm bands. We're losing telemetry with the eastern arcs. Send backup beacons. Deploy the Crown Light drones to relay visual signals. Yes, ma'am. Tiny silver drones launched from the dreadnought's flanks, their strobes pulsing rhythmic blue across the storm. Pilots navigating through electromagnetic haze used those flashes as lifelines. Breadcrumbs of light leading home. Retention microspike. 19 million lives traced by discipline, not hope. In the Dominion's remains, panic deepened. Civilian craft overloaded with refugees pushed toward human lines. Some colliding, others stalling under gravitational drift. Human destroyers broke formation to catch them, tractor beams stretching like outstretched hands. Rescue confirmed for 3 freighters, Vance said. Total evac count at 14.6 million. Maintain pace, Kor replied. We finish what they started by forgetting. From the shadows, Dominion raiders struck again, frenzied, uncoordinated. 2 custodian frigates took hits, their armor glowing under plasma impact. Neither broke formation. Both continued firing suppression rounds until the last civilians cleared their sectors. Retention spike. Mercy doesn't flinch when struck. Status of extraction zones? Kor asked. All sectors cleared except Delta, Vance replied. Heavy interference, unstable reactor near atmosphere. 2 million still waiting. Dispatch Iron Psalm and Warden's Light to assist. Prioritize radiation shielding. Aye. Minutes stretched like hours. The storm intensified, plasma winds sweeping across every sensor. Then at the edge of the void, the final flare appeared, blue against black. Extraction complete, Vance said quietly. 19 million civilians confirmed safe aboard. The bridge exhaled as one. No cheers, no applause. Only the slow rhythm of systems returning to idle. Core stared at the readings. Transmit coordinates to Dominion Command. Let them retrieve their people when they're ready. Even after this? Vance asked. Especially after this, she said. Doctrine isn't vengeance. It's memory taught with restraint. Outside, the last evacuation ship crossed the storm's boundary, its hull glowing with the reflection of human escort lights. The custodian fleet reformed around it, creating a luminous corridor through the plasma haze. In the distance, the storm began to calm, its energy fading to a quiet shimmer. Debris drifted apart like ash after a burned prayer. Core watched it vanish, her voice steady. Record the mission under Echo Storm Directive. Tag it complete. Vance nodded. Filed and archived. The Resolute Vow dimmed her running lights, entering standby orbit among her silent sisters. 19 million souls now lived because humanity chose order over rage. Retention close. They called us monsters. We answered with evacuation manifests. The medbays of the HSS Resolute Vow no longer sounded like war. Only the quiet rhythm of monitors filled the air, steady, synchronized, alive. Rows of recovery pods lined the decks. Inside them lay humans and Dominion alike, species that hours ago had tried to erase one another. Now, under Terran lights, their wounds glowed the same color. Commander Rhea Core walked between the rows, her boots whispering against the metal floor. Status of the Mercy Protocol? Lieutenant Vance replied from her station. All survivors accounted for. 4,200 Dominion soldiers stabilized. 640 Terran injured, no fatalities. Resource level sustainable for 72 hours. Continue open triage, Core said. No priority differences. We heal the living, not the loyal. Retention spike. After violence, restraint must speak louder than victory. Human medics moved in silence. Dominion officers, once proud, now shaken, watched as their wounded were treated with precision, not pity. Biofoam-filled plasma burns. Field surgeons stitched exoskeleton fractures with adaptive grafts designed decades before for Terran Marines. Commander, said one of the alien patients, his scaled jaw trembling, you rescue even those who fired on you? Core met his gaze. Doctrine of response. We answer harm with correction, not cruelty. Across the ship, drones hovered overhead, recording every act for tribunal evidence. Every injection, every bandaged wound, every shared ration, documented and transmitted to public feeds across the galaxy. Transparency as justice, retention microspike. Mercy witnessed becomes law. In the observation lounge, Dominion Grand Marshal Veth stood beside Core. His once golden uniform was burned, now replaced with neutral Terran gray. He stared through the glass at the endless medbay below. Your people treat ours as equals, he said slowly. You could have made this a spectacle of dominance. Core's tone stayed level. Dominance is temporary. Precedent endures. He nodded weakly. If our positions were reversed? They were, she said. Once you called it pacification. We learned silence hung between them. Below, a Dominion child rescued from a damaged transport laughed softly as a Terran nurse handed her a ration square. The sound cut through the hum of machines like sunlight through cloud. Commander, Vance said over comms, civilian transmissions flooding in from 12 systems. They're calling this the Day of Hands. Core exhaled. They can name it what they like. We'll keep working. Retention spike. Mercy is not sentiment, it's discipline. She stepped forward, addressing the assembled medics and volunteers over intercom. This is not charity, she said. This is order. Every life we save proves civilization still exists. Every wound treated is proof the war is over. Continue your work as witnesses, not saints. The crew responded with a unified acknowledged. The sound was quiet but unbreakable. Grand Marshal Veth turned to her. When the council reconvenes, they'll ask how you justify such mercy after such destruction. Core folded her arms. I'll tell them destruction is easy. Healing requires doctrine. He hesitated, then bowed his head. Perhaps you should be the one to write the next one. She didn't answer. She simply looked down at the medbay again, at Terran and Dominion hands working side by side. Blood, oil, and anti-Sihi, HSS Resolute Vow drifted in post-war stillness. Her hull reflected faint light from the shattered Dominion gate, a halo of consequence and quiet. Every weapon sat cold, every system rested in lawful silence. The doctrine of mercy had concluded. Commander Rhea Kor stood on the command deck listening to the sound of calm, the kind that comes after history changes. "Status?" she asked. Lieutenant Vance scanned her console. "All evac convoys away. Custodian fleet entering hibernation posture. Tribunal ships en route from core sectors." "Good," Kor said softly. "Then we are alone again." Outside, the galaxy stretched black and endless. The Dominion had fallen quiet. Its arrogance burned into reluctant awe. In the absence of war, peace hummed like machinery cooling after strain. Then the hum shifted. A single sensor ping echoed through the ship. "Contact?" Kor asked. Vance frowned. "No known signature. Long-range spectrum, barely above cosmic noise. I thought it was background scatter, but..." She paused. "It's repeating." Kor's eyes narrowed. On screen, the display filled with static, then between the bursts came a rhythm. 3 pulses. A pause, 3 more. "Origin? Outer rim, 42 light hours beyond the mapped frontier. Send pattern analysis. Already running. It's not random. Retention spike. Peace isn't silence. It's the breath before the next sound." The ship's AI translated slowly, building the message from incomplete fragments. Words emerged, broken, ancient, unfamiliar. Then one phrase stabilized. "Observation complete. Clarify further." Vance turned pale. "That's Terran syntax." Kor didn't move. "Repeat it." The AI obeyed. The words came again, clearer now. "Observation complete. Clarify further." Across the fleet, dormant custodian ships powered up instinctively, reactors cycling to idle, comms arrays unfolding like flowers to light. The message wasn't directed at the vow. It was speaking to all of them. "Commander," Vance whispered, "I'm detecting origin drift, movement on the outer edge. Multiple gravity wells forming. How many?" "Unknown. Estimate?" "Thousands. Retention microspike." The void answered back. Kor steadied her voice. "Project magnification." The main display expanded, zooming through layers of darkness until faint silhouettes took shape. They were massive, long-spined and cold. No thruster signatures. No life readings. But gravity registered like thunder. Old, deliberate, organized. "Define classification," Kor ordered. The AI hesitated. "Unknown construct type. Hulls measure between 30 and 90 kilometers in length. Propulsion, none detected. Energy signatures, biothermal." Vance looked up slowly. "That's not machinery." "No," Kor said. "That's something that never stopped watching." On every custodian ship, alarms flickered to amber, silent, respectful. Humanity had built for defense, not curiosity. But this wasn't curiosity. It was awakening. From the Dominion flagship's ruins, Grand Marshal Veth's damaged sensors also caught the wave. He staggered to his feet, horror dawning. "They were never preparing for us," he whispered. "They were preparing for them. Retention spike." History's judgment was only the prelude to something older. Kor's voice stayed steady. "Transmit fleet-wide directive theta. Observation posture. No aggression." Vance hesitated. "Commander, these readings, whatever's out there, isn't just moving. It's building." "Then let them build," Kor replied. "We will observe as we were once observed." Silence followed, deep and endless. The stars beyond the rim flickered irregularly, each pulse synchronized with the message still whispering through the comms. The pattern had changed now. Longer bursts, slower pace, deliberate cadence. The AI translated one more line. "Observation complete, clarify. Identity." Vance looked to Kor. "What do we say?" Kor's eyes never left the void. "Transmit our answer." "What message?" Kor's tone was calm as gravity. "The same one we gave the Dominion." The AI waited. Kor spoke, her voice carrying through the fleet. "We acknowledge your presence. We are not prey. We are prepared." Across the custodian armada, running lights flickered to life. 62 ships now forming a single silver line facing the unseen frontier. No threats, no fear. Just readiness made visible. In the Dominion archives, the event would later be labeled the Second Silence. But in Terran logs, it carried a different name, the signal from beyond. Retention close. Humanity didn't end the war. It opened the next chapter.